This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, Dr. Victoria.
Hey, Frank, how are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing? Thank you for your flexibility too.
Oh, well, of course. I understand when life gets in the way. Goodness, if anybody understands, it's a doc.
So you
Oh,
have a medical practice?
well, I did. I did. I am retired. Gosh, I have to think about it. I'm retired 2.5 years.
Good
And
for you.
well, I wasn't ready. I really
Oh,
wasn't ready. And I'm one of these weird docs that are you ever ready? You
yeah.
go through all of the training. You go through, I started in a group, did traditional OB/GYN, um, was the president of the group. I was there 16 years. When I wanted to take the group with the added direction of perimenopause, menopause, I'm talking the mid 1990s, before anybody really talked about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They told me it was fluff, it was crazy, it was stupid. And I said, I can't work with you guys, women and men. I said, you are ostriches with your head in the sand. You have to understand this is going to become the next big thing in women's health.
Yeah.
And they told me I was nuts. And I was
Oh,
the president of the group. I took an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and I wrote, I quit with a magic marker, put it in the middle of the table, and I walked out.
good for
And
you.
my husband looked at me when I got home. He said, "You're home early." I said, "Yeah, I quit my job." He said, "You what?" So I went solo and I did consented research on my patients, followed the American and the European research on women's health, and I came up with the curves. I don't know if you can see that in the background back there. I've got
Yeah. Yeah.
graphs, but I came up with the curves for where women's hormones need to be age appropriate, which is a
Yeah.
completely different
Completely different
statement than
statement.
are you in reference range,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same for men, even though the men's formula had been figured out, but nobody talked about it. So I took care of women and men because hormone balancing, your sex hormones are only one leg of your four foundational hormone groups in your body. And if you can balance those four foundational hormone groups, you're in balance. Your body
Yeah.
is in balance.
Yeah.
And yes, there are other things that you can do and check, but those are the foundational hormones. And my patients would say to me, "Doc, I feel 15 to 20 years younger than my age. How do I
Yeah.
keep this?" Well, we just keep balancing your hormones. And they're like,
Yeah.
"That's it?" Yeah, that's it.
It's funny that you should mention that. Well, I'm forced retiring Friday because I was
Oh, I'm
part of the
sorry.
13,000 people that were impacted with layoffs at Verizon.
Oh
So I'm
my.
ending my 35-year career, and I'm a bit sad and emotional and still grieving, um, and not knowing what I'm going to do next. But I'm writing a book on holistic health,
Oh, good for
which
you.
which I have really explored. I was, I am a type 2 diabetic, and I was not compliant. I lived a frivolous life. I drank. I didn't eat all the right things. I didn't exercise right, except I danced. And eventually it caught up with me. I lost vision in my right eye,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
but I got it back. Okay.
Yay, good for
Yeah.
you.
The retina surgeon told me this was November of 2022 that officially my vision in my right eye was no longer. And he told me, look, you're going to come back in 6 months and your going to need to prepare yourself to have your driving privileges suspended because you're legally blind. You have no peripheral vision. And I was devastated. And I prayed for miracles. And one day I'm listening to a podcast from this lady I follow from the UK. Her name is Catherine Edwards. She's a biologist, an animal lover, a spiritual person, and a lot of things that just really resonate with me. And she was talking about redox molecules. And the more I listened, the more I thought, I can't think of any reason why I shouldn't try this. So December 2022, I ordered it. And I got a call a week later from one of the people in the group. And she said, get yourself a blue or a brown glass spray bottle, and you spray these molecules right in your eye, and you drink 8 ounces daily. So I said, you know what? It's time for me to be compliant and wake up. And Dr. Victoria, within 2.5 months, I got my vision back.
Oh, good for you.
And the doctor, the retina surgeon, told me this is impossible. It's just not possible. What did you do? What? He was just like dumbfounded because I didn't tell him I could see again. I let him run all his tests and have him tell me, you can see, can't you? And when I finally told him that I was spraying redox molecules in my eye, he said, redox molecules, what is that? And I said, it's the foundation of our health. It's the signaling communication to our cells that help repair any damaged cells. And he said, well, I never heard of it. I said, I'm sure you studied in medical school. And Dr. Victoria, he had no interest in it from there.
Isn't that sad?
It makes me want to cry.
No, it makes me angry.
Yeah, it does. My mom is battling stage 4 lung cancer. So then 2023 is when I got my vision back, and I went back to Chicago. I'm from Chicago originally, so Waukesha is very familiar to me. And I surprised my mom and sister for Mother's Day, and my mom surprised me with a stage 4 lung cancer diagnosis.
Mm.
And I said, Mom, I've listened to you for 59 years, and now you're going to listen to me. You're going to drink these redox molecules every day, and you're going to nebulize them. And Dr. Victoria, it has been such a blessing because those cells, those rogue cells, have continued to shrink, and the one nodule that was stage 4 is gone.
Yay.
And I can tell she's feeling better because I live in Colorado now. So when I talk to her on the phone, I can just tell the energy in her voice and the enthusiasm for life is back. And I said, Mom, aren't you glad you listened to me? And she didn't want to listen to me at first. Her first response was, well, I don't have a mesh nebulizer. I said, well, you will tomorrow because I've already ordered it and it'll be delivered by Amazon in the morning. So she didn't have much to say. And at first she was not compliant and not agreeing. Well, what if I'm allergic? I said, Mom, you can't be allergic to it. It has no negative impact. These molecules are the same molecules that your cells currently produce. But as we age, we produce less of them. So that's why we need to bioreplenish them. And so I was just happy with the results Redox was doing for me. And have you ever heard of the company ASEA?
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm very familiar with them. Yeah.
Okay. So I after my own vision back, and I don't no longer take insulin because I don't need to.
Good.
Blood sugar's under control. I lost 100 pounds. And when you mentioned hormone balancing, I've been doing these slenderized drops from another company. They're called the body balancing drops, and they balance 4 hormones that cause weight gain: cortisol, insulin, leptin, and ghrelin. And when you can balance your hormones, as like you have already stated, it's a win-win situation.
Exactly. Now your body goes, thank you. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
We can
Yes.
actually like listen to signals. And because everything is balanced, we can believe the signals that we're hearing.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you've heard of the SIA because most physicians haven't, and most physicians don't know about redox. Why is that?
Because I will give you a very simple explanation and then I'll give you the real explanation. The
Okay.
simple explanation is that medical schools are basically funded by the pharmaceutical industry.
I know.
And all research that is done, which is hugely expensive, right, um,
Right.
is all only able to be afforded by pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
And it is therefore a pharmaceutical model that is taught. And so that's number one. But the real travesty is that once docs get out into practice, they refuse to open their minds to anything new. And they literally will say to me, and I would talk sometimes doc to doc with docs, and they would say to me, literally, I didn't learn that in medical school, so it isn't worth knowing.
Oh, wow.
Now, how arrogant of a statement is that? So at one point when a doc said that to me, I looked at him and I said, so you've learned nothing since medical school? I said, I feel really sorry for every single one of your patients because you are 15 years out of date.
Yeah.
And he just
Yeah.
glared at me, how dare you? And I said, I said, well, think about it. If you've learned nothing since medical school, you're supposed to be the one who stays up on what is new and current. I said,
Yeah.
you haven't learned a damn thing, have you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad because the FDA really controls our medical establishment, and it's not really aligned with true healing
They don't want it to be aligned with true
because there's
healing.
no money in
Right.
healing.
The past three presidents of the FDA were former heads of pharmaceutical companies.
Go figure.
Right. So, what is the incentive there to do wellness? It's like wellness, that's a disease. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, push it out the door. We don't make money on wellness, you know.
Right.
So, it is the biggest scam in the world that we have pharmaceuticals, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, the second biggest scam, and I'm sorry, I'm calling it a scam. There's a place for it, but it's a semi-scam, I guess, is hospitals.
Oh, yeah.
Because if hospitals realize that the majority of their monetary comes from cancer care, comes from surgery, cutting out things that maybe don't need to be cut out. Did we really
Right.
inform patients about what is going on in their body? Or did we wait until things got so bad that cutting it out was the only option? You know,
Yeah.
we are so used to, as consumers, we are so used to paying for health insurance that is too expensive with minimal benefit, and we we pay for it. We willingly pay for it. And yet what is the real benefit we get from it? If we willingly went to the hardware store and paid for crap, materials, we'd boycott that hardware store and that manufacturer of whatever they're holding, and we'd go elsewhere.
Yeah.
We
Right.
don't do that with healthcare because we think we have no alternative. Well, we
But
do
look
have
at all the
alternatives,
brainwashing.
right?
Every other commercial on TV is a pharmaceutical ad, and people think they need that. It's terrible.
What's even worse is when you listen to the names of these meds, these are biologics at
Yeah.
$10,000 a month,
Yeah.
$20,000 a month.
Right.
And I'll tell you one quick story is I still represent a couple of MLM products that I used in the office that worked really, really, really well for not only myself, because I wouldn't recommend something I wasn't doing myself. Um,
Right.
to my patients, and one of them is and I know ASEA has something similar, but it's a liquid all nutraceutical collagen. That the collagen is only 4 peptides long, so it is by definition easily absorbed, and it's more than 96% absorbed, even in the most inflamed GI tract. But it
Yeah.
also has astaxanthin and cat's claw, which is an organic, natural
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory. Astaxanthin is an antioxidant, and cat's claw is an anti-inflammatory. Well, I started a patient on the elixir, the collagen, when my brother called me and said, I know you can help her. I know you can. I know you're not in practice anymore, but will you at least talk to her? She's at the end of her rope. So I called her and what's going on? I have these are her words. I have Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. I am failing an injectable biologic at $10,000 a month. I'm failing it. And my doctor said if the next time I come in, if my labs are continuing to progress, I have to go to the $20,000 a month shot. She said, I can't afford that. I have a good
No.
job. I can't afford that. So
Yeah.
I said to her, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to do this collagen elixir. I want you to dilute it in water. I want you to sip it over the course of the day. And I want you to call me in a week. And she goes, are you out of your mind? She goes, I'm on this biologic. And I said, just, I said, what have you got to lose? Except another $10,000 a month, maybe 20,
That's right. That's right.
and I said, this is going to cost you far less. And I said, and you're going to know an answer, yay or nay, within a week.
Yep.
So in 4 days, she texts me, can I call you? Can I call you? Sure. She calls me and she goes, oh my God, I can't believe my bloating is down. I'm sleeping better. I can eat more without getting this intense doubled over stomach ache. My husband's noticed, my kids have noticed. And she goes, oh my God, how do I keep this? I said, you just keep doing it. I said, but
Yeah.
do this for a week and then you can start to go to full strength. And then I want you to go to 2 a day because
Yeah.
there's no benefit to 3 a day, but there is to 2 a day. So I said, when do you go back to your doc? Well, long story short, she went back to the doc. He repeated her labs and he goes, what are you doing? These are great. She told him and he goes, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
believe you. So she said, she called me and told me that. I said, well, when is he going to draw labs again? She goes, 3 months. I said, stay on it twice a day. And in 3 months, the labs will tell the story.
Yep.
So they repeated the labs and she called me and she goes, he's talking about cutting down my dose of even my present. She said, I asked him if I could stop it. I said, well, now, wait. Don't. I said, you've been on this shot and you've had this diagnosis for 15 years. You have to go a little bit slower than that because part of it is weaning your body off the biologic, you know.
Yeah. Right.
So I said, you can try and go half dose and see, you know, and if he'll go for half dose, I said, then you can step on. But I said, it's really, you got to be a little bit careful because it's still a chemical. Even though
Yeah.
it's biologic, it's still unnatural to your body.
That's right. That's
So
right.
that's where we are right now. But, it's amazing how if you pay attention to what the root cause is that's going on, that you'll actually find the solution so much faster and it's such a better solution.
Oh gosh, you need to be on the ASEA medical board. You're just you're just the amazing type of person of the doctors that I know on the board. It's just I can tell that you are a heart-centered physician, and I just love that
Absolutely.
about you. I love that about you. So at 61 years old, I don't want to start over in corporate America and do the 9 to 5, 8 to 5 grind. So I'm really now putting effort into promoting ASEA and some other, and I'd love to get your opinion on some other products. If I send you a link have you ever heard of the company Sorona?
I have, but I couldn't tell you what they do.
They make a glutathione and a CBD and a couple others that are done with their stasis technology, which is nano technology for so that your body can truly absorb it. Now, I don't think I need to take glutathione because redox and the most recent study by the Aspen Group found that in 120 days, patients increase their own
Right.
glutathione.
They get their own machinery going.
Yeah. So I don't need to take a supplement, but I do like their CBD product that has other things in it that I find to be very, very effective. So I have truly went the holistic route. Not to say that I don't have some medications, but since being on the Cia Redox, I've reduced my doctor. Um, Let me tell you just a quick bit about him. So he worked for like one of the big, like Northwestern Health and, the agencies, the big conglomerates. And his wife was going to have twins in last February, 2 Februarys ago. And he said, I need to take some leave to help my wife with when the babies are born. And they denied him. And they said, in fact, we need you to increase your number of patients per day. So that means cutting the amount of time you spend with a patient. He said, but that's not how I practice medicine.
Right.
He said, you
Good for
know
him.
what? He tendered his resignation.
Hmm.
And a year later, he started his own concierge practice. So
Hmm.
he's not so much FDA
Right.
regulated.
Right.
My first visit with him is he said, Frank, I got to apologize to you. I didn't tell you the truth regarding the COVID vaccines because I didn't know the truth, but you forced me to go look. And I didn't have those answers. I didn't know what you knew because
Good
of
for
what you
his
had.
honesty.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. The man is he's a young Indian doctor and he's heart centered as well. He's a great guy. And now he's helping promote Redox. He doesn't want to be part of the network marketing part of it, but he said, Frank, if there's a patient who I think it's right for, and I'll tell you, I can't think of any patient it wouldn't be, but getting them over that paradigm, he says, I'd like to refer them over to you and you can move forward with them. He says, I don't need the business. I know you do. And I want you to keep going with the business because I believe in the product. Your blood labs, I don't have a diabetic patient that has as perfect blood work as you. So you keep doing your redox because it's making a difference. It's in your numbers.
Well, right, because it's working on a cellular level. If medicine could actually hear that simple statement, it would
Yeah.
change everything.
Do you
But
think we'll get to that point?
no, only when they are independent. Here's a sad historical statement. In 1990, more than 95% of physicians in the US were independent. Okay. They worked for themselves. All right.
Yeah.
Now, this is almost a 2-year-old statistic. In January of 2024, realizing we're going on to January 2026, but in January 2024, 78% of physicians were corporate,
Yeah.
meaning only 23% were independent. So when physicians are corporate, and you probably know this or have suspected it, but this is the reality of corporate medicine when you work for an insurance company or a system, is they literally have quotas for the doc.
Yeah.
You have to make X number of referrals to a specialist a month, X number of of MRIs, X number of procedures, X number of referrals for surgery, X number. It's all these benchmarks you have to hit, right? And if you don't hit them, the first time you don't hit them, you're warned. The second time you don't hit them, you're docked and paid. The third time you don't hit them, you're docked in vacation. The fourth time you don't hit them, you're fired. Oh, yeah.
That's awful.
Well, that's corporate medicine. And
Yeah.
the other thing people don't realize, well, there's two more things people don't realize, is docs are horrible business people, so they never read a contract or have anybody read a contract. Well, hidden in the fine print is your non-compete. And it says that you cannot practice, if you leave the organization, you cannot practice within a 25-mile radius, which means a 50-mile circumference, of any facility that bears that corporate
Corporate
name,
name.
even if it's a blood draw station, right?
Wow.
It doesn't matter. A pharmacy with that name on it. Doesn't matter. So it can effectively prevent a physician, if they leave, from being able to continue to practice medicine. And it's hard enough to stay within your state, but some people have to leave and go to separate states. And then they have to get different medical licenses because the AMA no longer considers your medical license to be a US medical license. It is state by state by state. So if you have to leave and go to another state, you have to take at least 3 months to apply, and then it's minimum $800. And meanwhile, you're not making anything. You've got to
Right.
find an
How do you
office,
survive?
set up an office. You can't just set up in a uh, grocery store chain, because
Right.
that's not what anybody's going to walk into and expect good medical care. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's
Right.
a certain, look that you have to have, and there's a certain ambiance you have to have, and you have to hire staff, and you have to. So it is, yes, do docs make money? You'd be amazed at what docs really bring home, okay?
Yeah.
Because of all the overhead.
Yeah.
And I was concierge before I retired as well. And I wouldn't raise my prices because I didn't want patients to no longer feel that this was a worthwhile endeavor for them. So I was charging 2015 prices. And so I was 8 years behind the times. Well, your rent still
Wow.
goes up, your wages to your employees still go up. You still have to pay your bills, but
Yeah.
yet, so it's a very interesting phenomenon. People hear about surgeons and the kind of crazy money that they make. Well, they're working for a hospital, and the hospital feeds them. All they have to do is sit at the table and eat, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's very interesting when you do really in the trenches family medicine or primary care. It's a very different story, and it just is. It's amazing to me that the American public has no clue how anything works. They don't realize that for every diagnosis that a patient is given, there is an actuarial table assigned to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So every insurance company knows exactly the worth of what you as a patient brought to them because you've checked a bunch of boxes. So when you did a SIA, you completely threw a monkey wrench into into that because your type 2 diabetes was like, wait a minute, he's not making parameters on this part type 2 diabetes. He should be making us blah 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 money. He's not going to the specialist. He's not getting. So good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Any recommendations how I should or could move forward to help? I mean, part of the reason why I want to move forward with this network marketing business is because one, I believe in the product. Two, I find immense joy in helping others heal.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
really, truly do. And it's a tricky product to help someone learn about and accept and even be willing to take.
Right.
It's not a simple one. Um, but I don't want to give it up.
Well, what I'm going to tell you is it's unusual that you found a doc who was open. There are a few of us, okay?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to tell you to focus a little more on nurse practitioners, on
Nurse
life.
practitioners.
Yep, because they have a license to prescribe. They can prescribe, okay? So which means they can also unprescribe. You follow me?
Ah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay. And these days, a lot of medicine, in order to keep their profitability up, is going to more to nurse practitioners than to doctors, but nurse practitioners are nurse trained first. So they have the patient in mind.
and the heart.
Yes, yes. But I would also talk to life coaches, health coaches, because they cannot, ASEA is not a prescribed product, but it is a product that they can represent and be under you and help their patients to a healthier body, even if all they understand is it is working on a cellular level. They can have a very basic understanding, but a lot of people don't go to traditional medicine, even nurse practitioners. So they'll go to a health coach or a life coach online first. And they will be in a position then to at least say, gee, have you tried ASEA? And I used to, with people that other practitioners that I wanted them to be under me, I would gift them a small amount so they could gift their clients. Because people are very willing to try something if it's handed to them.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, so the blue bottle, the drink part, can be very unpleasant at first. And the finding is the more toxic your body, the less desired taste this is going to have. Me now, I crave it.
Hmm.
I'm drinking 16 ounces a day, 8 ounces twice a day, slowly through the 8 ounces, sips at a
Sure.
time, holding it to absorb. And I love it. But the topical version, put it on your vagus nerve and the bottom of your feet
Hmm.
can have some amazing results. Or anywhere where you have skin blemishes, burn, cut, insect bite, sunburn, you name it. The healing is almost immediate. When my female dog had a litter of six puppies, after the first time she nursed, I thought, oh my God, that poor thing, she's in such pain. So what did I do? I sprayed the ASEA right on her, all
Hmm.
over her. And you could almost see the healing right before your eyes.
Right, right.
So every time she was done nursing, she came by me and I knew exactly what she wanted. You look at her today, you'd never know that she had a litter of six puppies.
No,
It's just
yeah.
incredible. So I do give out samples of the tube and I do the
Hmm.
balance test where you just put a little bit on your neck, and people who have no balance all of a sudden have balance like they've never experienced before. It's really incredible. It's just so hard to find that right person. And the people that you really want to help because they really need it either don't have the money to buy it, or they just, like, I have a cousin who has cardiovascular issues. Both his brothers and his father died from cardiovascular problems. You would think he would be proactive and want to take it, especially coming from one of his favorite cousins. Absolutely not. Will not
No,
hear anything of it.
no, no. There are many and very complicated reasons why family selling to family is a bad idea. Right,
Yeah, it
right,
doesn't work. I
right.
mean, my mom is buying herself, and I forced her to do it,
Hmm.
but she's glad I did. But that's my mom. That's
Well,
different.
she'd never hear the end of it if she didn't, because you are her son after all.
You got that right. And I lost my dad in 2020, so I wasn't willing to give my mom up?
Hmm. I get it. I totally get it. Yep.
Yeah.
So, but I would go to the second tier of healthcare providers.
What about naturopaths?
Naturopaths are already on this pathway. In other words, many of them may already be doing it. You follow
Really?
me? Right. Because a naturopath is actually more holistic by training. And so they
Yeah.
already understand how a cell needs to work and how an organ is a bunch of cellular cells working at their optimal. They already understand that. It's Western medicine that doesn't understand that. And yet, what do we pay homage to? Western medicine. And
Gosh.
the whole the whole quote unquote evidence-based medicine and has there been a control trial study? Well, that's all meant to slow down the progress of anything medical that works. It's meant
Yeah.
to slow it down by 15 to 25 years.
That's so unbelievable and true. Do you know Big Pharma has tried to buy a SIA multiple times?
Oh, many things, but they would simply put it on a shelf and let it
Well,
rot.
the first time Curtis Norton met with Big Pharma, because he came out of retirement as a CEO of bio, I don't know, some big, very big role in the company. And Curtis Norton met up with these engineers and had this opportunity, and they were trying to find a way to stabilize these molecules for human consumption. And his goal was to make that happen and then transition it over to medicine. The first offer that with Big Pharma was contingent on two things. Number one, shut down production immediately.
Right.
Number two, everyone that you've distributed to needs to return it. And he said, there is
No.
no amount of money in the world you could pay me that I would ever ask somebody who is having amazing results to return the product that I asked them to try. Absolutely not. You basically take your offer and stick it where the sun don't shine, you know?
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah,
Good for
yeah.
him. Hmm.
And it's been the same response multiple times since. They want it shut down.
Right. There's a poorly known story, even in the pharmaceutical world, of a little company called Solvay. And Solvay was making natural oral bioidentical progesterone for women.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And I got out of residency in 1988, and I thought, oh my God, I can prescribe estradiol and progesterone to my female patients. I'm an OBGYN, and this is going to be amazing. And I loved the product, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. Even though I wasn't taught this in medical school, I taught myself all of this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So Solvay was having a hard time making it because that was their big product was oral bioidentical progesterone. And they couldn't make it work. They couldn't make the company a profitable company on that one product alone. So they got bought by Abbott, and Abbott did just that. They shelved it and waited for its patent to run out, and then basically said, oh, well, we don't need this anyway. And
Huh.
basically just they trashed the entire product. They trashed what the company had stood for. And there was no ability to get oral covered by insurance progesterone that was bioidentical. It had to be compounded, which of
Oh,
course meant people had to pay out of pocket for it. And now you're going to a compounding pharmacy and, and all of that, which I still did with my patients because I saw what it did. And
Yeah.
and so when the Women's Health Initiative happened, it was such a it was such a debacle. I don't know if you're aware of that study, but it um, was meant to be a 10-year study that Wyeth, as the drug company, gifted gifted the researchers major universities like Yale and Harvard and UCLA and USC and Duke. And I mean, you just name the top 20 universities in the country, and they were all involved in this study. And the study was give menopausal women, perimenopausal, menopausal women age 45 to 60, basically, or 65, give them hormone and see what happens in the world of cardiovascular disease, in particular heart attack and stroke and breast cancer. Those were the three endpoints. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And it was meant to be a 10-year study. So at 7 years, they made a very public statement how they're going to peek at the data and do a preliminary release of results, right? So the press is lined up outside the door, and this is 2002, mind you. Um, and the docs aren't coming out, and they're not coming out, and they're not coming out. And the press is at the door, listening. And finally the press is hearing, oh shit, oh shit. And they're going, something is very wrong here. So the press said, women, get off your hormones. And the docs said nothing,
Wow.
nothing, nothing. Now, let me give better clarity to the research. Wyeth, the drug company, gave docs Premarin and Prem-Pro. Now, I know you're not a woman, so you have no idea what that means, but
Right.
Premarin stands for pregnant mare's urine. What? Horse pee? From a pregnant horse? Yeah. Yeah. The second med Wyeth gave them was Prem-Pro. Premarin plus a synthetic chemical medroxyprogesterone acetate, which, by the way, was already labeled as causing infertility and potential increased risk of cancer and blah, 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 right? So there is nothing human-based, bioidentical to a human in Premarin. That's from horses,
No.
right? And when
Right.
people found out what it was, they were appalled. Yet, Women's Health Initiative to this day is still considered by the American College of OB/GYN to be the gold standard study in women's health for heart disease and breast cancer.
Wow.
Oh, it's beyond, oh, it's ouch. And it's, are you kidding me? And it's, how dare you?
Yeah.
And interestingly, the British were running, and I put all this in my books, by the way, because I've written 2 books from my research and then my own research about the graphs. And then I put in each of my books the historical research. So while the American study was going on, the British ran a parallel study, but they had fewer people. And they said, we're not going to give our patients pregnant horse pee and synthetics. We're going to give them the real deal. We're going to give them estradiol and progesterone, human-based bioidentical, and we're going to run it for 10 years with you. Well, at 7 years, when the Americans called it, and I mean, literally, we were getting death threats at the office. You put me
Jeez.
on this, and I know where your kids go to school, and I know where you live, and you better watch out. Your tires are going to be flat, and I mean, literally, those were the phone calls we were getting at the office. Um, so the 10-year study for the British quietly ends, and their results are the exact opposite of what
Sure.
the American results are. Okay. So, what do the arrogant American researchers say? Well, you can't lecture us. You didn't, because they only did the breast cancer part of it because it was a smaller number of British people. So they said, you can't lecture us. You didn't do the cardiovascular and the stroke. So the British started a 10-year cardiovascular and stroke study on women with bioidentical hormone. And their 10-year studies were again the opposite of WHI.
Of course it was.
Of course it was, right? So then the Americans did okay, we'll prove it. So they did a smaller study, still reasonable numbers, but a smaller study that had Premarin. They still put Premarin in there, but they took out the pro, okay, and put in estradiol and progesterone. And they ran a bunch of parameters that they looked at and blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what the American study showed that nobody knows about? Because they wouldn't make it public because they didn't want to embarrass the researchers from the original WHI. But it showed decrease in heart attack, decrease in stroke, decrease in breast cancer, reversal of bone loss, so going from osteoporosis back to normal bone density, and it showed a reversal of Alzheimer's.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
But shh, we
right.
can't tell anybody. We'll embarrass all those major universities, and those poor professors will lose tenure. Those universities will lose face. We can't do that to them. That's just unethical. Women are resilient. They can suck it up. They can do just fine.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah,
Wow. So let me ask you, Dr. Victoria, are you looking to promote your books?
I am. I
Can
am.
I
Thank you
ask
for
that
asking.
I share this recording with Catherine Edwards, who can maybe do an interview and promote you on her channel?
I would love that. Let me give you, well, and she's the one in Britain, you said, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I love her.
Well, and I can do this in Britain. And the reason I'm saying it this way is because I have angered a lot of people in Wisconsin, docs wise, because of the way I practiced.
You know what? To them,
Yes and no. What they said to me was from the state level, the medical board
okay.
said, you no longer are in practice. You no longer have a medical license. You are podcasting, which is considered practicing without a license. You must cease and desist in 48 hours, or we will refer you to Wisconsin Department of Justice, and they will consider a trial and jail time. Um, oh, yeah, and criminal action. Yeah. So
Oh,
literally, I pissed off a lot of docs by what I did. And this is their way to silence me. So I have to
wow.
be careful in the US, but I can podcast outside the US.
Okay.
The other thing
Would you like to meet
I
Catherine?
would love to. I would
I
love
think
to.
you would. I think you guys would be an amazing connection, and I think she would find you as fascinating and amazing as I do, as well as you'd find her the same.
Yeah, I would love that. The other thing I do when I podcast is I tell my story.
Yep,
And in a nutshell, my story is that I've died twice on the operating room table.
sure.
And due to the physician taking care of me, not listening to me as I describe my symptoms. Now, the first time I was a freshman in medical school,
Oh, wow.
The second time, I was a full-fledged practicing OBGYN. And I was still ignored, MD to MD, for what my symptoms were. And the second time was 2 days before my second daughter's due date. I went into a bowel obstruction and they delivered Stephanie. The bowel obstruction didn't go away. And the surgeon didn't believe me that my pain was real and he withheld my pain medication. Do you believe that? So when I finally, and I won't bore you with the rest of the story, but when he finally was forced to take me to the operating room because I had a fever and peritonitis, and my daughter was only 3 days old, and uh, you know, that's like the calling card. You have those symptoms, you go to the OR. And the chief resident walked in my room because it was my training hospital. And he goes, I want to be in on your surgery. And I said, you have to be. You're my eyes and ears. Because this
Yeah.
jackass isn't going to tell me what he finds. Okay. I
Right.
won't get it
Right.
from him. So when I come to, my husband is holding our daughter, and he's crying. And I said, why are you crying? I'm the one that had surgery. And he said, they told me you died.
Wow.
So when the chief resident walked back into the room, I said, what happened in there? And he goes, he opened you up. He said, your bowel was not that pink, wonderful, healthy pink. It was black. And he goes, he touched it and it went, and he said, pus went everywhere. And he said, and you flatlined right on the table. And he said, he turned to me and he said, holy shit, she was telling the truth.
Oh,
That's MD to MD.
what a sad state of affairs our country's in.
It is unbelievable what docs do and what they get away with because they work for a system, and the system will protect them.
Jeez.
Isn't that crazy? And that's only the second time I died. I didn't even tell you about the first time. So, but that kind of story I can tell because that's my story. I'm not
Yeah.
practicing medicine.
Right.
I'm telling my story.
Right.
So when I podcast locally, that's how I podcast, is with that.
Okay.
Because
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
trying to teach people to be advocates, to learn as much about their body as they can and advocate for themselves. They are their own best advocate.
Yeah. Truly.
Yep.
Very, very truly.
Yep. So anyway, well, Frank, I'm sorry I've monopolized a lot of this conversation. I so apologize.
It's been an honor to have this discussion and talk with you and learn and hear your story. And I'm so glad you're the physician that you are, that you practice medicine from your heart, and that you went on and did your own research and you have an understanding of how fucked up the
Yes.
medical establishment is. And I don't know how else to say it, so excuse my French.
You're excused. A lot of people speak French these days.
Well, it's been an honor to meet you, and I really, really appreciate your feedback. I loved hearing your story. I love that you kind of stand behind the acid redox and gave me some direction with some paths to take because I really got to make this work as I don't have a career anymore.
Well, and when I was in 2012, what happened is all of the major insurance companies banded together and said, it's way too expensive to do individual contracts with solo docs. We're just not going to do that anymore. So I get a notice from all of the major healthcare carriers that Thank you for being on our healthcare roles and being a loyal provider for our healthcare products for the past 25 years. But we're no longer writing contracts for individual doctors. So it's been really nice having you as a preferred provider, but see ya.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So
Oh my God.
literally, imagine a doctor's office going from 95% insurance covered, patients come in, show their insurance, whatever, to all of a sudden, nothing. No insurance coverage whatsoever because of me, just because I'm solo, right?
Right.
So I brought it back to my patients and I said, told them what was going on. And they said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I think I have to go cash. And they went, I said that or I'm out of business. And they went, well, we aren't going anywhere, doc. So what are you going to charge? And I went, I don't even know. I hadn't even thought about it. And they said, well, think about it because we're not going anywhere. So,
Yeah.
mhm,
I mean, I pay my personal care physician an annual fee. It was 26.50 for the year.
mhm,
I think that's a bargain.
mhm. Right, right. Because then I went concierge. And concierge, at least, you know, and my patients would say to me, I have never felt so good in all my life, and I can't imagine going anywhere else. You've taught me how to balance my own health. And I, even if something happens to you, I know how to do this and I can do it myself.
Yep.
And that's the whole point is
Yep.
being able to advocate for your own health and then do your own health.
Yep.
Wow. What a statement, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's amazing.
Truly. Truly, truly.
Well, and with your permission, Frank, I'd like to send you my book's flyer. It's a single page electronically that has both book covers on it. The two books I've written are women's health books. I'm an OBGYN. Um, the first book is for the adolescent and her mom because nobody understands the hormone swings of an adolescent. No pediatrician does, no family practice doc. Moms don't because we simply survived it and then came
Right.
out on the other side, but have
Right.
no idea what happened to us. So how can we counsel our daughters, right? And I had
Right.
three daughters went through it. So it's written as a mother-daughter guide based on my research with my adolescent patients. The second book I wrote is the perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause book. And again, based on the research I did with my patients. So,
Well, there's one of my associates who wrote a book on the third age mojo, which is how to live the life after 50, plus. And there's a lot of factors. And I think you and her would be an amazing connection too. And so I'm going to share what you share with me with her, and she may reach out to you. Her name is Catherine Stone.
perfect. Perfect. I love it. To me, this is the true purpose and meaning of networking is
Yeah.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
hmm
Yep.
hmm So
Absolutely.
Frank, what is the best email to use for you?
Okay. So it's Frank, D is in David, A is in Apple, Tank, Frank the Tank, 847 at gmail.com.
Perfect. And is there a good phone number for you? I'll put you in
Yeah.
my data bank.
630-399-8521.
Perfect. And I'll put my contact information in my website, in my email that I sent to you with the book's flyer and whatever. So
Okay. And if you ever come across somebody who you think could benefit from redox molecules, please send them my way.
absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Thank you.
well, it's
And
been a pleasure. You will do well. In fact, you will do beyond well. You will succeed because you're coming at it from the right place.
I
And congrats on your own personal success.
thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. I consider it a miracle, to be honest with you.
hmm Well, it's that you were able to open your ears and your eyes, literally your eyes, and you were open to hearing something new. Very few people have that gift. That's a gift.
Yeah. And you know what? I've come to the realization that God created us to be able to heal ourselves. We just need
Yeah,
to do the right things and give our bodies the right elements and love and belief to make that happen.
that's right. I mean, he made us in his own image. Goodness gracious. He didn't make us into a pharmaceutical image.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
So
you
that's
can use
that's
that statement.
well, that's actually the nature of my book, the eight pillars of holistic healing,
Hmm.
and how you let your body heal itself.
Hmm. Right, right. Well, it's
Not to
been an
say,
absolute pleasure.
yes, likewise. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to introducing you to Catherine and well, both Catherines, Catherine
Hmm.
Edwards from the UK and Catherine Stone here from Colorado in the US.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you so much. You have a blessed day and holiday blessings to you.
And to you as well. All right,
Thank you.
Frank, take
We'll
care.
talk to you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye
Mhm.
bye.